To the fourth edition of the Operational Edge podcast for thinkers and tinkerers, I think is how Marsha puts it. I'm still joined with Marsha today, and myself, David Lee. Today we're going to have a little bit of a different podcast. We attended ISA's Automation Summit and Expo last week, so we thought we'd do a quick debrief and some lessons learned from that conference. So won't be such a long podcast this time, but I thought it'd be interesting to our listeners. So I guess to start with, did you find the venue? It was in sunny South Carolina, Charleston.
Yeah, it was great. It's not a city that I had ever necessarily, thought about from like a travel destination kind of perspective, but turns out it is constantly rated one of the top cities in America to visit, and I get it. Having spent some time there now, it's very walkable. There's shopping, the Bay Area, there's a lot of history. It was really cool getting to visit. And then of course, I was spoiled because we actually got to hang out. One of the first times that we really gotten to spend time in person together. And you knew the area a lot better than I did, so it was great having somebody to show us around. Because you actually have been there a few times, right?
One of my favourite cities. We don't live too far from it, so it's easy for us to get to. Nice venue too. We went to conferences at the Francis Marion Historic Hotel. Rooms were pretty magnificent. Really lots of chandeliers and things going on there. So it's quite an interesting venue, along with the history that the place has. So that was cool.
Yeah, it was very awesome, and I definitely get why there were so many weddings there before and after we were there.
It was a full 2-day event. Marsha and I actually went in a little earlier for separate reasons. I have the privilege to sit on the executive board, so we had an executive board meeting the day before. Marsha, I believe you were at the district leadership conference.
Correct. Yes, I sit on the St. Louis executive board here as a student liaison, so helping to get students involved. And so it was really great getting to meet with some of the other leaders around the country and just kind of understand how we can continue to grow the field and get people excited about industrial automation in general and ISA. How were the executive board meetings? What do you think the most important thing is that you get out of these kinds of conferences?
I think from a board perspective and the strategic plan or the vision was shared at one of the sessions with the attendees. I think some of the big things that came out of it is obviously we are looking ahead now. We have a 3-year plan, which is great, not just looking short term. I think there's some great things happening like Mimo. I think we all had fun looking at the new mascot and using that tool. So nice to have somebody going around dressed up as as our new mascot. So that was fun. But also things like the new technical committees, some new initiative to reimagine divisions there. So again, maybe a better conduit for people to more easily have discussions on technical subjects. So that was an exciting thing to come out of this too and be shared with the attendees there.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, and I'm excited to see where the organization continues to go. I've been involved in other professional organizations throughout my career. I'm relatively new to ISA, but I have to say I love Mimo. It's so fun. It's cute. It gives you like Microsoft Paperclip vibes. But the fact that the organization, one that's so focused on the forward movement of technology, was able to apply an AI powered large language model to really enhance the experience for ISA members, because you can access so much information, whether it's standards or the hub, PubHub, which has all kinds of articles and things. Like, it's just so much easier now to find good technical information, and it's closed off. It's only looking at ISA stuff, so that you're going to get a good search when you use the tool, which I think is just a great tool, and excited to see where we go next.
I understand why sort of the envy of the industry at the moment, having a tool like this. It's a first, and people are looking to learn from us. So as we aim to be that that voice of technology as well as thought leadership, it's great to see an example of it right on the webpage. So that was really good.
Yeah. Practical and accessible too.
Yeah. The whole conference started off well with a good keynote speech, Beyond the Stars, so looking at the future of not just earthbound technology, but even looking at how people are going to get to the moon and to Mars, and how they're using digital transformation to support that. So that was an interesting start to the week, or for a few days. Somewhat inspirational, looking at what we can do and the collaboration that NASA used to develop technology. They started a great example with BP, for example, on how they co-share technology. So I thought that was a good start to the week to get everybody thinking and ideas flow.
Well, and I liked the idea that, like, NASA has for a long time been this kind of closed, the very innovative organization, but to be able to learn from the corporate world as well, right, and be able to accelerate faster was cool. Getting to see that that's the direction that they're looking to go, right, is to keep moving forward and exploring other avenues. And then I don't remember who said it, but where the ISA is the International Society of Automation, and somebody pointed out that maybe one day we will be the Interplanetary Society of Automation, and I love that. I love that for us, right? Always pushing the boundaries. So
I don't think that's in the next 3 years, part of the strategic plan, but
it might be a minute.
maybe
Yeah.
A little bit further.
Yeah, that wasn't in the strategic plan just yet.
Yeah, the next couple of days were filled with presentations, some really good ones on 3 separate topics. We had cybersecurity, digital transformation, and career development. Anyone stand out particularly to that you enjoyed or took anything away from?
So I was really focused on the digital transformation track. I think that's such an exciting place, and one that really stuck out to me was Jeff Winter did a talk on the current state of Industry 4.0. Right, that idea is one that people like to throw around. Everybody seems to have a slightly different definition of, right, and what does good look like in terms of how you deploy those projects. So that was a really interesting one to me. But I also did dip and dabble a little bit into the cybersecurity track as well. Specifically, one that stood out was Chris Monchinsky did a discussion on the differences between applying cybersecurity standards to brownfield versus greenfield. And it's just one of those things, as much as we want to do things perfectly, if you have existing equipment, sometimes that means that you have to work with that equipment. You don't have the option to swap out for new. And so that means that you may not be able to follow the standard in the same way. So I thought that was a really good insight. Not, philosophically, clearly it was about cybersecurity, but also kind of thinking about that just from an overall industrial perspective to say, how do you work with what you have? What about you, David? What were some of your favorite conversations or topics?
I think there was a couple. One, I did like to see a focus on career development, and especially the talk around skills gap we have engineering field. First, I sat through that presentation from Brian Romano. I was a little overwhelmed, to be quite honest, just to look at all the different skill sets that a modern automation engineer or control engineer needs these days. Not just simple, control theory and things like that. There's a lot of other technologies and knowledge that's needed. So it makes for a strong industry, but as a new engineer, I think it's going to be a challenge to stay up with all the technologies and skills that are going on. So it's great to know what we have and what we need. So we just need a plan on how to train our people. And obviously, ISA has a role in that. So it was an eye-opening presentation. Also went to a presentation by a gentleman I hadn't met for over 25 years. So that was nice to reconnect to somebody, and it really sort of highlights the networking opportunities that we have in what is still a relatively small industry. So that was good to meet with people, and I hope you had some great networking opportunities too throughout the conference.
I did. Yeah, I was actually able to meet with Jeff Winter after his talk and kind of, connect with him, which was really great. And some of the other speakers as well, being involved at the local section level and actually being a part of some of those initial meetings was a really great networking opportunity because it was smaller groups, right? Some of these conferences, there's a lot of people in the room, and you just have to kind of uh, come in confident and walk up and say hi, especially like if you may not know that many people in whatever discussions that you're in, but to that end, when you're talking about bridging the skills gap, I think having a strong network within the industry is another solution perhaps to trying to you know you and I talked a little bit after that discussion, and I kind of think of it as like you can have a major and a minor, right? You might be really good at industrial automation. Maybe you've got another emphasis that you're pretty strong at. But even just knowing who to ask about your cybersecurity questions, about your digital twin questions really helps, I think, reduce the load of trying to be an industrial automation engineer today in such an advanced world of technology.
Yeah.
Something else that I really enjoyed was there was at the end of the day an ISA standards panel where we actually got to hear a little bit from our own David Lee about what it's like to be a part of the ISA standards. For those who don't know, ISA holds a lot of different standards for the industry. Some of them are even adopted by other societies and are part of some rules and regulations on more of a governmental level. And so they have a lot of influence, they have a lot of impact, and are really important to our work. So I guess, David, what do you think what inspired you, I guess, to become part of the standards committee?
There's many reasons to join committees, and I think, one of them is to contribute back, especially, I've been doing this a long time, so it's sort of part of your professional duty, if you like, to give back to the industry if you can. But one knows everything. So, sitting in a room with experts and peers that really know the subject and contribute heavily to the standards development is inspiring, and it also helps you grow. Being part of any committee is a benefit. So, those skills that you get, maybe contributing, writing pieces of a standard, or even leading a standard, are very valuable in your career development. So I sort of seen many benefits from it. And it was good to see several in-person meetings there. I sat through a few of them. It was good to sit on the 88 committee and see the work that, sort of batch standard has been around a long time, but it's still being developed, and people get together and talk about it, and it's very good to see and very rewarding to be part of. Even talking about valves, I sat through one just talking about valve high pressure units, not something I've spec'd for 30 odd years, but it was still interesting to hear about that and see the current development in that field. So again, I think, it was great to see those in-person meetings and good to see people there. And the other thing it also gives you is that, again, this is a relatively small session. This conference wasn't huge like the ones back in the early 2000s when there was thousands and thousands of people there. And it gives you a chance to have access to people and network, and I believe most people are very approachable, as you say. So many benefits from attending those different types of meetings.
I'd really like to get involved in the standards right now because I'm involved in the local section. We're trying to balance the load, right? Not bite off more than we can chew, but it's something that I'm really excited and interested in. I know we've talked about before the fact that there are standards that are being discussed that may come out in the future, right? There's not necessarily a ton of standard, or there aren't really standards necessarily around process simulation and digital twins. So I know that that's one that the committees are investigating. So I'm excited to see, as the technology develops, right, us be able to put in place these guidelines and standards that help make sure that we can basically provide the best services and the best value and the safest environment that we can.
I'd love to know how many... Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd love to know how many times 62443 was mentioned throughout the few days.
Yeah,
it's
the
so
cybersecurity standard was just hit hard
Yeah.
over this whole conference. And it is one of those interesting things. It's because 62443 is the IEC number for it, and there's a separate ISA number, right? I think. Yeah, and it's just interesting because I think people don't realize necessarily that that comes from ISA. And that's something that you can help influence, and cybersecurity is hugely important, especially today. So.
And something I found out during the week is that 62443 is actually applied to elevator safety. So you wouldn't think of that as process control necessarily in the process industries, but it's being applied elsewhere, So it's good to see that sort of pervasive impact that standard. If I said the number again, 62443, is being used. So, and I guess the other part of it, you also attended some events for young professionals, which I thought was again a very strong aspect of the meeting.
Yeah, and that was really great. Again, new to ISA, so still kind of getting my feet wet, but it was really great. They had a young professionals mixer, and a number of the different talks were about growing your career and what that might look like. Industrial automation has a lot of different avenues that you can take, so it was great hearing from some of the young professionals. Like me, some of them had very, I would say, winding paths that you've taken, and you can certainly do that. And then there are folks in the room who have, been able to deep dive into a specific technical topic, and you can do that too, right? It just sort of depends on how you want to pursue your career. So it was great to hear some of that. And then the mixer itself was really nice because not only did you get to meet peers who were, kind of in a similar spot to you, and really get to know other people in the industry who are facing maybe similar challenges or opportunities to you, but also the executive board of ISA is really involved in those kinds of things. So from like a networking perspective, not only are you meeting your peers, but you're also meeting these folks who have been in the industry for a long time and have a lot of great knowledge to share, whether it's as far as growing your career with ISA, because you can get a lot of great leadership experience, etc., or just, what did their career trajectory look like? Because there are a lot of options. So, as a young professional, it's really great having those networking opportunities and getting to share that time. So.
And unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but they had another wonderful honours and awards banquet. This time it was on the flight deck of a carrier. So they get some wonderful events outside of the serious business of networking and learning, to socialise and see those things too. So again, great job by the people organising the event to get all that set up and run smoothly. Inspired for next time. So Marsha, do you want to tell us where it is?
Oh yeah, I'm personally excited about this one. I haven't been to Disney World since I was in middle school, so this is my excuse, and it can be your excuse too. No, so next year's ISA Automation Summit and Expo, which is what this event was, is held at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. So nice, sunny, warm Florida. Again, it's going to be that kind of late September, early October. So next year, the volunteer workshops start October 5th, and then the conference and expo is the 6th and the 7th. They also like to hold trainings around this. So, if you're looking for a way to have your company sponsor you to come down and visit the conference, because that can be a really great professional development opportunity for you. You might be able to do that by attending one of the trainings that they offer. So definitely check that out. It sounds like, there are going to be some different events that actually happen at some of the theme parks down at Disney, and some discounted tickets. So it could be a really great sort of opportunity to have a little bit of fun, right? Charleston was really great for that kind of low key vibe, but I think next year it sounds like it could be a blast, and it's even going to be bigger. So we had some really great vendors as a part of the event this year that we were able to meet with. We will include links to all the vendors who were involved. But next year it's actually going to be over 80 vendors that are going to attend the conference. So definitely check it out. It sounds like it's going to be fun.
From a selfish perspective, hopefully you'll come and see us. as our listenership gets bigger, we'll be able to to meet some people in person that may have joined or subscribed to the podcast and would like to meet us in person. So that would be cool too.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're not going to be in costume, right? You'll have to go to Disney to see the mascots and then in our beautiful faces. So
yeah, well, maybe we'll get a mascot, like a meme.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Take a cue from ISA.
Thanks for joining us for this special. I think the next podcast we're going to be talking about alarm management. So please join us for that, and we'll have you talk to you soon.